So let's talk about running your business like a well-oiled machine. Joe already gave me a fantastic introduction, but if you do have any questions after and you'd like to talk to someone, we're here in the Dealer Resources Pavilion at DA3, and we're also in the main exhibition at 21085. So I hope to see you guys stop by. So let's talk about today's tentative agenda, right? Improving your sales team, improving your marketing and digital marketing, improving your parts and repair department, improving your business management and the way you hire, and your business's culture. So let's get started. Your sales team. So this is going to be a general, broad topic for some of you who have multiple locations. This will probably apply a little bit more for the smaller dealers who are with us today. Hold tight because we'll get to some more small dealership focused topics in a moment. So we all know your sales are the foundation to your successful business. If you don't make sales, you can't stay in business. So how are we going to improve our sales team and increase our bottom line? Answering and returning phone calls. Believe it or not, this is actually a huge problem for a lot of dealers. You guys are very busy people. You're working long hours. You don't have an 8-hour-a-day schedule. You're often working way more. So we want to make sure that we are answering and picking up the phone, or at least returning voicemails once a day. For the smaller dealerships, once a day is great. For the larger ones who do have a full sales team, try to check those voicemails once an hour and get back to people, especially the new generation of millennials. We expect, instant gratification, right? So we want to hear from you, we want to buy from you, but do you want us to buy from you is the question. So let's talk about treating customers fairly. We all have that person who comes in and there's just no pleasing them. Maybe you did service on their equipment and a month later it broke down, they have a problem with you. Just make sure your team is documenting those issues, because now with the super transparent world of online reviews, people can take their opinions online, right, and broadcast them to the world. And I'm sure if any of you monitor your Google My Business listing, which I hope you do, it's free. You should definitely be taking advantage of that. And if you don't know if you have one, simply Google your business name and you'll see a listing pop up, and that's what customers are looking for when they find you online. So make sure if you do have an issue, you're documenting that, so if someone does come back at you and write a negative review, you can respond and remember what exactly happened and maybe correct some of the issues so future customers don't see it as a taint on your reputation. So we'll get to more online reviews in a minute. But right now, let's talk about recommendations and substitutions. I know you guys are the experts. You're here at GIE. You live and breathe equipment, right? That's your life. But is your team in the same boat? Do they know the customer's budget? Are they taking that into consideration? And do you have the proper substitutions if you do not have something in stock? Is your team recommending something that's on par with it? Do they know? So again, we know you know what you're doing, but does the rest of your team know what they're doing? So just make sure that the people on your team have a deep knowledge of the inventory you're carrying. Make sure that if the customer wants something that you don't have, but your sales team knows that you have something similar, they can recommend that instead. Okay, so let's get into it. Improving your marketing. It's a completely different landscape than it was in 2008. Anyone who's pouring any money into marketing these days knows that the newspaper ads aren't working, right? You don't print things anymore. You're not really mailing. It's expensive, and are you really getting good results? We run post-mail campaigns once or twice a year just because we don't have access to a great ROI. But what we do is email marketing. We manage our website, and we do paid ads. Those are things you should be doing, those three things. So we're going to get into those three topics because those are the huge focus for outdoor power dealers and really the things that you should be investing in. So first things first, when you're forming a new marketing strategy for 2018, you want to assess your current practices. Look at what you're doing. What are you guys spending money on? Are you pouring money into direct mail? Are you getting a good result? Many of you probably have billboards. Is that working out for you? Those are expensive. Take a look at what you're pouring money into now. Take a look at your returns and see if they're paying off the way they once did. It's true, 10 years ago, your print ads might have been giving you great ROI. You might have been getting phone calls all day, but is it getting the same results now? If your answer to the question, are your marketing efforts paying off, is anything other than they're definitely paying off, you need to take a look at what you're doing and tailor that strategy so that you guys are making more sales. So let's talk about building a sound strategy. Deciding on business goals can be tough, but it's important to be specific for what you're looking for. Choose those specific goals and then build on your accomplishments. So let's talk about what specific goals mean. So I want to sell more used inventory isn't a great specific goal. It's a little general. So try to narrow it down into a brand or a subcategory that you really think brings in the profits, so that you can set your goals, then you can test, track, and adjust your marketing efforts to maximize that return on investment. So let's talk about SMART goals. If you joined me earlier, you know the acronym SMART. This is important. These are 5 things all your business goals should be. Your long-term goals, your short-term goals. This is a great little template to follow. So SMART, S, specific. What specifically will you achieve by doing a marketing campaign? Like I said, you guys work all day, your time is tight, your money maybe isn't there to do huge advertising campaigns. So decide what you want to achieve and then see how you're going to measure it. That's M for measure. Decide what you can do to see if your efforts are paying off. If they're not, there's no point in doing it. So can you achieve it now? That's the A. Is this something that's a short-term goal, or is this something that's a long-term goal? Have a think about it and then see if it's relevant to your long-term goals. So that's R for relevant. If your goal is to expand, does your campaign goal fit in with that? If your goal is to expand what your services are or what brands you carry, decide what your marketing campaign is going to do for your business and your larger goals. And finally, T for time frame. By what date will you achieve it? It's important to hold yourself or the people who you're working with accountable. So if you do have a website or you do have a digital marketing service that works for you, figure out what they're doing and figure out what time frame you expect results from. If you just let it go, you never know if it's working or if it's paying off, if your money is just kind of going down the toilet and no one wants that. So let's talk about those 3 big things. Creating a customer-friendly website. Your website is big. It's not even a question anymore whether you need a website. You need a website. If you don't have one, you're missing out. So you want to make sure that you have a customer-friendly website, and that means keeping your business hours, location, and contact information up to date. So are you closed on Sundays? A lot of small businesses are. That's fine, but make sure that you're communicating that to your customer, because if you don't know, Google penalizes you if a customer shows up at your dealership and you're closed and they can't go in. It knows. We all have one of these now, right? Most of us, right? Raise our hand. Who has a smartphone? All right, quite a few people. So the millennial generation, aka the new generation, who's moving into homes, needs outdoor power equipment, looking for dealers like you. We all have one of these. It's glued to our hip, right? We have it on us all day. It's because we're using it all day. We're using it to find dealerships like you, the products you carry. We want to buy from you. We want to support small businesses. We don't have that desire to find the lowest price because we want to support local. We want to support small. So when we're looking online for John Deere or Briggs & Stratton or whatever brand that we know, we trust, maybe our dad used, our grandpa used, we need something like what they use. We're looking for you. You have to show up online. You have to show up in their searches. And keeping your business hours, location, and contact information is how you make that transition from a prospect to a sale. So are you keeping that information up to date? Having your accurate phone number on there is critical because we have the attention span of a fly, right? And we want to do it, we want to call you, see if you got it, stop in store, buy it, done. We don't want to waste a ton of time bouncing around on your website, trying to figure out what you carry, trying to figure out what you service. So keep it concise, keep all the inventory front and center on that homepage so we can figure out what you do and decide if you're the business for us, which we hope you are, right? So keeping that location and all of that up to date is important, it's critical. If you don't know, Google ranks mobile first now. They don't care about your desktop site. So you need to make sure that your site adjusts to everyone's smartphone. When I'm Googling something, I'm using my phone. I'm not using my computer for anything other than work these days. So make sure that you guys have a site that works on a smartphone. For those of you who don't have smartphones, ask your kid to look up your website. Ask an employee who has one. Say, hey, take a look at the website. See how it looks on your phone. Is it responsive to their screen size? Can you check out the inventory? Can you make a phone call in one tap? If people are having to zoom in, go back and forth between pages to figure out what they want, they're getting stuck, your website freezes, it doesn't load fast, guess what? Am I gonna waste my time? No, because there's a back button right here. Go back to Google, go to your competitor. You don't want that. So make sure that you're focusing on that website and getting it mobile friendly, because Google ranks mobile first. If you want to show up in the search results, you got to have a mobile friendly website. And then let's talk about those 3 tools. So we've covered a little bit of website. Now we're going to talk about email marketing. Super important for you guys. It's basically free. All it takes is a little bit of your time. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about how paid ads can save you the time if you don't have the budget to get a website, how you can use digital advertising to do click-to-call ads so that you can skip over the website step and just get customers to call you directly. But then you got to make sure that you have the bandwidth to answer all those phone calls, so we'll get to that. All right, let's talk about email marketing. It has the highest ROI of any channel. Why? Because it's free. Let's think about sending an email to someone. How long does that take versus working with a print designer? You have to get a graphic designer in, right, to design your postcards. Then you got to pay for the print. Then you got to pay for the mailing. And then you're looking at $5,000 for a 5,000 person campaign. Guess what? Email marketing isn't like that. If you have a limited database of a couple hundred customers or maybe a couple thousand, it can be free, if not almost free, for you to send the same amount of communications over email. So it's a great way to get used inventory out the door. Our customer success account managers work with outdoor power dealers on a daily basis on getting that email marketing up and running and seeing how it can sell that used equipment. So if your dealership stocks that, use email marketing to get it out the door. Don't have it sitting on the dealership floor. So again, email marketing completely and totally free if you have a limited database of contacts. But it's important not to overdo a good thing, right? So we want to be sending, and I know a lot of you don't have enough time in your days already, but we don't want to send any more than 2 to 4 emails a month. Keep it relevant, keep it fresh, send the sales that you're having. If you have manufacturer promotions, get those out. That's the kind of information you want to contribute to your customers' inboxes. You don't want to be sending them a bunch of junk or irrelevant information that they don't care about. So asking for emails is hard, right? All right, Chloe, email marketing is great. I want to do it. How do I even get started? It's not that hard. Ask for emails at the point of sale and be sure to let the customer know that you'll send them coupons or discounts or specials or whenever you're having a sale. And that's the kind of information you're sending people. Because it's a lot easier to ask for something when you know you're going to give them something in return. And who doesn't like to save money? So it's a big thing for your customers. Again, ask for it at the point of sale. A great time to get those emails logged in to who the customer is and what they're buying, and then you can separate those people out and target them with ads to get them to buy more from you. All right, so let's talk about Google AdWords. It gets you to the top of the Google search results page fast. We talk about your website. Great, all right, Chloe, I have a website. Now, how do I rank on Google? It's just sitting out there in the internet, and who's finding me? Well, building SEO takes time. It's not something you can do overnight. You have to consider a lot of different factors. You have to do link building. You have to make sure all your information has unique content in it. It's tough. A lot of you don't have time to screw around with the website all day. I get it. So digital advertising sort of takes that time spending out of the equation by making you show up in the search results first. How does that work? You bid on keywords. So what do people buy from you? What do you make profit margins on? Figure out what those keywords are, and then I recommend working with a partner, someone who can do digital advertising for you, who's an expert on it, and pack those keywords that you know work into those Google AdWords campaigns so you can see that ROI. Over time, you can tailor those advertising campaigns so that they're only targeting the people who are making you money. And guess what? Google AdWords, you only pay when someone clicks your ad. You don't pay for the people who see it, only the people who click it. That's good. Not like newspaper advertising where you have to put it out there. Some people rip right through it. Some people look, don't care, and maybe some people call you. You don't have to worry about that. It's only the people who are interested in your ad, who are clicking it, going to your website, or giving you a call. That's what you're paying for. So they're a great way to get started. If you're like, hey, don't have the budget for digital advertising at ARI, we always recommend our outdoor power dealers do $500 a month for 6 months to get started. So if that's not a realistic budget for you, if you're looking at me with Google eyes like $500 a month, no way. Try Facebook advertising, a lot cheaper, easier to manage, you don't have to work with a partner on it. You might not see the same results or get the same amount of tracking, but you can decide who sees your ad on both platforms. So if you have a primarily male or female audience, age range, you can target all those people, and Google AdWords, you can decide what time your ads run. So if you don't want people calling you after your shop closes, you can run your ads from 9 to 5. You can't do that with a newspaper ad. If someone's in the mood to read it, they're going to read it, otherwise they're going to throw it away. So consider that. Consider investing in Facebook ads. And if you don't know, Facebook reach is tiny. I hope none of you are spending more than a half hour a week on your Facebook page doing anything, or you're wasting your time. 3% of your audience is seeing that. If you have an audience of 1,000 people who like your page, your posts get 30 people. That's how many people out of that 1,000 see your posts. So put a little money towards it. 20 bucks will go a long way. That 1,000 will be reached, or you can post it out to people who don't like your page, but maybe are in your geographic area and are your target market. See what their interests are. You can do all of that through Facebook advertising. So it's cheaper, relatively easy to manage compared to AdWords, but AdWords is going to give you that traffic on Google. We're all using Google. That's what we use to find good restaurants, figure out good doctors. That's what we're using. We're using it to find outdoor power dealers too. So keep that in mind when you're deciding where you should allocate that budget. If you have the resources, I highly recommend AdWords. It gives you the results that you want to see. All right, let's talk about your parts and repair department. For the dealers here who have it, I know that is like the central hub of where the time is spent. You have these long days. You have to keep that parts department running smoothly. There's a few ways to streamline those processes and eliminate that time wasting that can come along with it. So you want to inform the customer up front. So if you only service or repair certain brands or the brands you sell, or only things that your dealership will sell up front, and you don't service other things, let people know ahead of time. Then they're not wasting their time giving you a call, and you don't have to waste your time calling them back. So if you have a voicemail in your parts department or a general voicemail, add a line in there. Let them know up front, so when they hear that or they're on your website and they see on your parts and service page that you only service Briggs & Stratton, Toro, and Husqvarna, then they're not calling you about their John Deere mower, right? So let them know up front. Again, it makes it easy. Then they're not wasting your time. They're not wasting their time. Everybody's happier. So let them know. And then supply the tools needed for success. I've talked to multiple dealers here at the show who spend hours and hours a week looking up parts online in their service center. If you're doing that, let's talk after, because you should not be doing that. There are ways that you can streamline this process and invest in these tools that save you time, they save you money, they streamline that parts department, so it's working more fluently, more efficiently for your business, okay? So let's talk about business management. Small business owners, you wear a lot of hats. You're working long hours, you pretty much do everything. You're often managers, you're often sellers, you might be repairers, and you're marketers, and you're trying to balance your home life with your family, right? So in order to keep yourself from being spread too thin, let's talk about some things you might be able to do to make your life a little easier. When you hire a new person, it's like a second job, and we'll get to that in a second, but it's better to prevent than to treat. So when you hire someone, make sure you're investing the time in training them. We know you guys are the experts. Make sure you're hiring people who get along with that mindset, who know your equipment, they know the industry, and you're training them on what you sell, about your inventory, like brands, similar parts, because the last thing you want is to hire a novice off, he has the right salary requirements, but you bring him in and he doesn't know anything really about what you're doing, and someone comes in asking questions or wants to buy something, and he says you don't have this in stock, but you might have a different product that's very similar, but that customer is going to leave. So don't make sure that you're investing time in your employees, doing that successful staff training, and not losing out on customers when you bring someone else on your team. Efficient processes. I have a guy here in the audience, Mr. Ray from Ray's Bike and Mower, the king of efficient. He is great at making things work. It's him, his wife, and Jerry. They work together and they run a very successful repair, mower, bike shop, and they do so by being efficient. It's important that you get some things going, you place an order here, you repair things. So establish how you can really save time and try to do one process change at a time. Don't try to take on too much. It's just not going to work. So make sure you're making the most of your time and understand your business's culture. Even if you're a place of 3, if you're a place of 10, 20, know that employees work better together when you understand their culture and keep in the loop with them. What are they going through? What are they wasting time on? What can you do to improve what they're doing and make more money, make more sales, help more customers? Okay, let's talk about your online presence now. We're going to talk about how 97% of consumers read online reviews before making a purchase decision. That's a lot of people. A lot of people looking you guys up online, seeing what other people have to say about you before they decide whether or not they want to choose you as their business, all right? If they want to have a relationship with you, which I know plenty of you in here are very focused on the customer as a small business. You build those relationships. You have people on a first name basis coming in. Make sure that you're communicating that out on your online presence is broadcasting the truth about your business. A lot of guys don't focus on their online reviews and they have 2 or 3 negative reviews on Yelp, and that's causing problems for their business because people who have iPhones who use Google Maps, that pulls in those Yelp ads as soon as you click power equipment near me and your dealership showing up with 3 1-star reviews. Who's going to come to your dealership? Nope, they're going to scroll down. Oh, here's this guy. He's got 4 or 5 stars. Well, I'm going to call him. So make sure you're monitoring your online presence. So how can you do that? How can you get started? It's important to, if you're getting started with your online presence, you're first getting into it, it's important to respond to all your reviews. The happy customers, thank them by name, welcome them to come back, tell them you appreciate your business. If you have a negative review, that's why I talk to you guys about documenting those issues. How can you respond politely, but also correcting people who might be saying something that's a little off of what happened? We all know that everyone has their own point of view, but you don't want them to have the last word on something that wasn't totally true. You don't have to be snappy, but you do want to have that information ready and work it out with the customer. Invite them to call you, so when other future prospects check out your listing and see your reviews online, they see that you were kind enough to respond to this person and that you tried to work things out with them. That says volumes about your business, and that's the kind of thing that really goes a long way for people who are looking you up online. So how can you gain more 5-star reviews? 80% trust them as much as a personal recommendation. So you need to have that 4-star review. You want to boost that rating. A quick, easy fix. This is amazing, quick, free tool that we've provided to all of you here today. arinet.com/signature. What is that? It's a free tutorial showing you how to add a review us on Google or a review us on Facebook link right into your email signature. When you're emailing customers, it goes right to them and they can click that, goes right to the review page. They can leave you a 5-star rating, and then that's that. How many emails do you guys send to customers? If you're sending more than 1 a day, you're missing out on opportunities to reach these customers, gain these 5-star reviews. We've got everything set up for you. It's a walkthrough tutorial, 15 minutes max to set this up in your email signature so customers you email can review you on Google or Facebook. We've even provided a nice little picture for you guys so you can have that right in your signature for them to click it. It's a great way. I talked to a guy who did this, 35-star reviews in 2 months. You can't beat that. I take advantage. arinet.com/signature.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Do you have anybody that's doing that that's also doing SMS and email review solicitation?
Sure.
Are they seeing any difference as far as are people continuing to put through
Yeah.
signature?
So if you do send an email marketing review us survey, this is a trick a lot of businesses use. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. If you have 5 stars in your email, make sure those 4 and 5 stars go to your review us page, and anyone who's leaving you 3, 2, or 1 are going to your contact us page. So that's how you got to filter those reviews for people who you send those emails to. If they're clicking on the 1-star in your email, they're not going to leave you a review, they're going to call you or something like that, where it's going to take them away from broadcasting that 1-star review out and instead keep it within the confines of you and them. It's staying offline. It's not going to be in your permanent reputation. So that's a little trick too. Both of those things I recommend. Verify those online directory. Oh, yep.
Is there a way to put that on your website too, if people visit your website, to get a review?
Absolutely, yep. You can have a third-party directory listing, which will post reviews right to your homepage, and you can actually have them scrolling through. Or you can have it right on there where you can have them click through with a link to your Facebook or Google review or Yelp page. I would recommend sticking with Facebook and Google, just because Yelp has a weird algorithm where if too many people are clicking on your Yelp page, they actually penalize you for it and think that you're paying for reviews. So be careful when you do Yelp. That's a different beast than Facebook and Google. But you definitely can have it on your website. Great questions, you guys. When you're verifying these online directory listings, it's pretty easy. Just give your business name a Google, see what pops up. Are your phone numbers consistent? If you changed your number recently or changed your business name or moved locations, make sure that's all up to date on those big review platforms, those big online directories, Google, Facebook, Yelp, yellowpages.com, all of that stuff. Make sure it's consistent, because Google looks at that and says, hey, it's consistent across the board. This is a reputable company. They take the time to make sure their customers aren't calling a dead-end number. They're keeping it up to date. We want to rank them higher. That's how that works. Google's job is to serve the customer, not you. So you need to work with Google on improving that SEO, not the other way around. All right, let's talk about improving the way you hire. If you listen to the radio, if you go online, you always hear those ZipRecruiter ads, right? You can find the needle in the haystack, and it's true, because hiring a person, especially in a small business or a niche market, it can feel like a second or third job. It's like, how am I going to find the right person? I have enough on my plate, I have enough to do, now I have to find another person. Unless you're expanding, right, then replacing someone is a difficult task, and you want to cut down on the time it takes to find that right person. So let's talk about how to do that. Require those specific skills up front. Don't be generic in what you post out on your job listings. You want, if it requires a certain number of years of experience, there's a learning curve in any job. There's a huge difference between a guy who's done repair and service for a year and a guy who's done it for 5. So make sure, if you know that you need someone who can work fast, work efficiently, that you're putting that on there. 5 years of experience, or have a way to communicate that to the people who are applying for the job. So make sure that you're doing that. Again, paying for experience pays off. If your parts department is running through jobs quicker, you're making more money. So in the long run, hiring someone who's more experienced is going to be better than hiring a slower novice, because of the amount of jobs they can take on and get finished in a day. So make sure you consider that, because you might be losing out in the long run if you hire someone for cheaper who does a slower job. All right, test their customer service skills. As a small business, we want to connect with you. Your customers want to come in, they want to know you, they want to talk about their day, they want to talk about sports, who lost, who won. We want to build that relationship. That's why we're not at Home Depot. That's why we're not at Lowe's. Those people, it's an in and out. There's no interaction. You don't build a friendship. You don't build loyalty there. It's just sort of, it gets the job done fine. With you, going to a small business, you guys invest in your customers. You talk to them like they're people, like they have lives, and that's why people choose small businesses, especially millennials. Millennials are 18 to 34 now, so they're moving into their first homes. They're getting started with buying outdoor power equipment, and they care about small businesses. So make sure the people you're bringing into your store connect with customers the way you connect with customers. You guys have been doing this for years. You know in and out. You know how to talk to people. But when you're hiring, is that person well-versed, or are they going to be pushy? Are they not going to know how to communicate? There are some people who do a great job. We were just talking about this earlier. Some people do a great job with their specific job, but when it comes to customer service, it's not great. You want to keep them away from the customer. If that's not something that's possible with your dealership, make sure that person is able to talk to people in a friendly way to build those relationships and keep that great small business thing going. So let's talk about asking about familiar processes. Again, when you hire, is the person you're hiring aware of everything that goes on, and that they're going to be able to be a good part of your team and build on what you've built over the number of years you've been in business. Some of you guys, mom and pop shops, been around for 3 generations. It's incredible. So make sure that one person who's coming in isn't going to offset that great reputation that your family or you have built up over so many years, all these hours of work. Keep that in mind when you're hiring someone. All right, let's talk about people who handle money. I've heard too many bad stories about hiring someone they thought was great. They have access to the cash register. They have access to customers' credit card numbers. Run a credit check. You just want to be safe. It establishes that trust between you and your employees and your customers. You don't have any issues. And then determine appropriate incentive. For some people, it's important they're off for their son's birthday, you know, which is on maybe your busiest day on a Saturday. Can you have that employee get off, or what are they motivated by that you can provide them? Because you don't want to have someone who's unhappy with the constraints of the job leaving, and then again you have to hire a new person. It takes too much time. So ask them what they care about in a job. What's important to you? Is it salary? Is it having flexible hours? What drives you to do a good job? Make sure you're getting to the root of that when you hire someone, and that you're determining whether or not you can provide those incentives to that person so you don't have to hire someone again. All right? All right, let's talk about in-store applications. Having them in store is perfect because people who are aware of the job, they know the industry, they're coming in, they're looking for a job. If you have them in store, it saves you time, saves them time. You can get right to it. You can maybe have an on-the-spot interview, shake someone's hand. It's a lot better than having phone calls, coming in, leaving messages, and taking up time in your day. So a little "we're hiring" sign and in-store applications go a long way for you guys. And then post to online job boards. So ZipRecruiter isn't really somewhere where you're going to find an outdoor power specialist. But Craigslist might be. So take a look at whether or not you get success in that. Craigslist job postings go insane. Where I'm from in Milwaukee, that's where outdoor power, construction, tire and wheel, those guys who are looking for skilled workers, that's where they post, and that's where they get their job applications that are fit for the job. So consider using Craigslist as a hire tool. Maybe put a link on your website. If you're hiring, have it on your homepage. We're hiring. Someone can click it. They can go to the Craigslist ad, submit their information. Again, make sure you're being specific on what you require from the job. And then you'll have that information coming back. You'll know who these people are. You're not going to get like a scribbled post-it saying 5 years of experience, know your brands. You'll have that information that you need to make a smart hire and not waste your time calling back and forth. Okay, business is culture. Again, whether you're a small 3-person place or you're a big 10, 20-person place or have multiple locations, a healthy business makes sure it's keeping aware of its business's culture. This is going to help you succeed. It's going to help you make more sales. And so let's talk about ways to keep aware of it and improve it. You want to invest in your community. As a small business, people expect you to be friendly. Sponsoring a little league team goes a long way, or a little sporting event, or a charity, or a walk run. Seeing your name associated with good causes gives everyone that feel-good feeling like this is a business that cares. They invest back in their community. It's a great way to get your name out there, but also to build that culture within your business. When people know that the place they work with cares and is doing good, it makes them want to stay, it makes them want to work harder. So keep that in mind. You want to help those in need. This is a big one for small businesses. I know a couple of great examples of small businesses who go out of their way to give some little incentives to people who deserve them, who they know maybe are a little hard off. Take some time to think about how you can help those. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but 10 or 20% off your normal rate for someone who you know deserves it and needs it goes a long way. And guess what? That person is going to tell their family and friends. Those people are going to tell people, and guess what? You're going to have more people coming into your store as a result. So don't think of it as you're giving 20% off. You're actually giving yourself more reputable business because of the way you're treating people. You're going out of the way. And I'm going to go and tell people, if someone treats me nice, I'm going to say, hey, this person was fantastic, highly recommended, best guy I've ever talked to. Go buy your stuff from them. That's the kind of word of mouth you want to hear. You don't want to hear, yeah, they were stuck on their prices. The big box stores don't do that. They don't care if you're disabled, if you're a veteran. They don't care what your needs are. The price is the price, or you can go somewhere else. You guys aren't like that. You have the flexibility to give a little, and you'll get a lot in return because people know that you're someone who cares about them and their business. And then the last one, this is something that we all forget sometimes, but it's important just to let people know that their hard work is appreciated. People who are working those 12, 13, 14-hour days, you know, a thank you goes a long way. And there's a difference between kissing someone's and showing them appreciation, right? So you want to just make sure that in the way someone is communicating with you, you let them know, hey, good job today, see you tomorrow. A little goes a long way for a lot of people, knowing that they're appreciated, and not feeling appreciated is a great way to get someone to leave your business. So you don't want to risk that, because then we spiral into that hiring thing and no one wants to be dealing with that. So again, a little thank you goes a long way, and don't forget to invest in those incentives that you've established with your employee. If you know someone needs off for their daughter's concert, don't change your mind last minute and tell them they can't go. That's a huge disappointment that hurts them, that hurts their family. And again, that's how you break those relationships with your good employees, and they start looking around. You don't want that. And then last but not least, making customers feel valued and welcomed. I'm sure all of you do a great job of this. Make sure your whole team is. This is a great way to just make sure that you're establishing those lifelong relationships with customers who choose you, not your competitor, because you've gone out of your way to walk them through. If you do repairs, walking them through, saying, hey, this is what's wrong, this is what I can do for you, or I don't really recommend you get this fixed. We actually have new mowers in stock that are cheaper. Whatever you got to do to make them know that you care about their needs, you care about their budget, their goals, it goes a long way. So I really appreciate all of you guys sitting in. Hopefully I covered some of the good topics that you wanted to hear about today. Does anyone have any questions?
Geez, we should covered an awful lot. You know, you think about it, sometimes it's good to do a refresher to like, oh yeah, are we doing this or are we not? I guess I took this seminar today, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to hear it. All right, thank you all. I appreciate it. If you want to stop by, again, we're in the Dealer Resource Center, DA3, or we're in the Exhibition Center, 21085. And again, if you are spending too much time looking up parts online, come see me. We'll figure something out. All right, have a great one, you guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.